I have just finished doing that first round of couching stitches, essentially. Now, you'll notice I haven't done anything with these interior curves, these interior lobes. And we need to, because if I were to start weaving through with my actual pattern yarn or thread, this point would go right to this point and there would be no curve. It would just be a round shape. So we want to be able to get these really nice, elegant curves going. And this is the point where you're going to start getting really, really fussy. And I have two rules here. On exterior curves like this, when they are convex, pointing outwards, you're going to bring your needle up on the inside of that curve as close as possible to that line. And you're going to stitch outwards. On an interior curve like this, you're going to get to the right of that curve, the little cup there, as close as you can to that line. And you're going to stitch inwards. This is where things can get a little bit messy. Right here, that's a fairly straight point until about here, where it starts curving towards this point, but that is an exterior curve. So we're going to the left of that line as close as possible and stitching outwards. Now we're back in to an interior curve. We are going just to the right of that line as close as we can get it and stitching inward. Here, this curve is a little bit larger, so I'm going to put a stitch here and here. If any of you are familiar with like Photoshop or any photo editing software and you have the lasso tool and it can snap to curves or something, that's kind of what we're doing. We're creating those snapping points. But it's for our thread. And you can make these out like exterior stitches as long as you want, honestly. The interior threads, you just want to be careful, or interior couching stitches, you want to be careful that you're not going super deep into here because it can get confusing. But I'm just going as close to that line as possible. And stitching inward. This has another slight gradual curve. So I'm going to do another stitch right there that's going inward. I am going to add a bracing stitch here. And then here's our next exterior curve point. Another exterior curve point. Interior curve. again, to make that more gradual, I'm going to put another one right there. We're going to do an exterior one right here. Another exterior one right here. Now this curve, this interior curve, is way more rounded than some of our others. The other ones were pretty steep. So I'm going to kind of split the difference rather than going straight down in the middle of that trough. I'm going to split it. So one curve point there, and one curve point there. And then we've got our exterior curve point here. This next one, I could technically do an exterior there and an interior here to like kind of refine that shape. The more stitches you do, the more refined shape that you have, but also the more complicated this becomes. This looks way more complicated than it is. I gotta say though. Okay. And then in between those, we're going to do an exterior curve point there. And even though I'm not fully running out of thread, I am going to go ahead and tack this one down. So again, I'm just going to come up away from my work and do a couple of tacking stitches. And I like to do them perpendicular to each other for no reason except for I think it's cute. It creates a little star. Boop. Again, leave a little bit of a tail. And I'm going to go ahead and do this left side of the oak leaf. And then we'll move on to laying our foundational thread.